Your book also includes 10 real-life learning architects. What were your thoughts behind including those examples?
Well, I think that if anybody has read one of my previous books, the Blended Learning Cookbook, they'd appreciate that I get quite anxious when the book becomes too theoretical or abstract. And in fact, in the cookbook, most of the book is taken up with examples. In other words, recipes for blended learning solutions. And I had the same feeling when I was creating the New Learning Architect book, is that this is all very well, but is perhaps coming over rather abstractly, and what really resonates with people are examples. So the best way I could find of providing examples was to find people who, in some way or another, were exhibiting some of the behaviours that I associated with a learning architect. I didn't want those all to be people who are fortunate enough to be looking at the big picture across some giant corporation, but also people who are working in smaller organisations, or people who are just responsible for one area of an organisation. And I also wanted to make sure that we represented people from public and private sector organisations, but also from different parts of the world. So I hunted around to try and find people that I thought could represent that cross-section, and I believe that I accomplished that, although, quite honestly, you can't have enough examples, and if we had another 10, 20, I'd be delighted.
Lovely. So how could these case studies help those who are hoping to become learning architects?
Well, I hope that readers will be able to identify with at least a selection of those case studies and say, well, that's a little bit like the sort of job I have, or the sort of responsibilities I have. Therefore, maybe it really is possible for me to behave in a more strategic, architectural way, if you like, rather than just doing what we've always done. So it's as simple as that, really. Is to provide models for people that they can identify with, and as I say, that's why I wanted to make sure that they were as wide-ranging as possible.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Clive, for your time. And I'm just wondering, just before we leave, what further advice you might have for everyone out there.
Well, I think that my final thought would be that it is not to be too discouraged by the gap that there might be between what you do now and what might be suggested in the book as the behaviour of a new learning architect in a new century, and in a very different environment to one we've experienced before. Not to be discouraged by the gap, but to be chipping away at that gap, and to be doing what you can within the constraints of your particular job description and the culture of the organisation you work within. But you can make a difference in small ways, and you can develop confidence, which ultimately will allow you to take on much greater challenges and to make much bigger differences in the future. So it's a long journey, but you've got to have a vision for where you want to get to, and to take small steps towards it.